In the bleakness of the void, the black expanse tore open a kaleidoscopic color of impossible sound. It was a rent in space and time that vomited a howling scream. Its howl pierced the silence of the vacuum with unnatural, maddening insistence. Colors never before seen licked at dark horizons, fading to the memory of emotions best forgotten. And, slipping from those vistas of unreal insanity, came a sword-class frigate. Its hull was pitted with unearthly scars, its terrene prow disintegrating to the erosions of the immaterium. It bled lumen. Sunseer batteries sparked with a struggling motive force. Thrusters flared. The veil mended. The rip in real space closed. Ugly scars of distorted time faded to the backdrop of glistening stars. A new warp rift opened. Seconds, minutes, hours later. A minuscule fraction of violated, cosmic time. 3 raiders slipped the leashes of the warp. Their wicked prows thrusted boldly into the unknown space. The hunters writhed with unnatural power. Each was wrapped in gigantic, heavy chains. Horrified faces pushed outwards from the hull and mouthed screams to the void. Dark icons formed exterior cathedrals. Their stained glass windows flared with malefic fire. Each bore the dread octet of chaos. Their dorsal weapon batteries were already searching for their prey. The darkness flared to a pyrotechnic laser show of deadly light. Where the light graced the hunted frigate, it left behind burning wounds of slight adamantium, scars that cut deep to plasteel structures beyond. Just as the second warp scar closed, a third was opening. The sticky eye of hell blinked open ahead of the frigate. Uncharted currents of hellfire emotion welcomed the ship back into their embrace, swallowing the vessel whole as it fled into the sickly arms. It was chased by laser beams, a hateful, spiteful farewell. The third gate closed. The raiders powered down. They began to turn, directing their prows back towards the Imperium of Man. Karlov yawned. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes and stretched his shoulders, groaning as he bent his neck left and then right. He was still at his desk. Star charts were strewn across the recaf-stained plasty wood. They formed overlapping spider webs, a dizzying landscape of scratching warp roots and spherical systems.
It won't change anything, no matter how hard you look.
Karlov scowled. He had fallen asleep with his autoquill resting between his fingers, and a blotch of ink had blotted against the vellum. A scratchy script of hasty calculations spoke to hours of useless work, astronomical numerologies made useless by a series of increasingly optimistic, theoretical assumptions. Are you really there, Xana?
Am I really there? Throne Captain, that bad?
Come out into the light, damn you. A gangly woman stepped from the shadows. Her void-born inheritance had stretched her out into an emaciation build, her arms a little too long, fingertips reaching to halfway down her lower legs. Rugged flak provided some bulk. She held a heavy bolter in one hand. Karlov saw the propulsion systems flaring blue amongst the weapon's undercarriage, anti-grav generators fighting its dragging weight. Xana grinned. Her face was too thin, almost rectangular in its shape. Her smile was almost grotesque.
You looked better, Captain.
Tell me something only you would know.
Of course, sir. Because there's no chance a demon could know a secret.
Karlov grunted. Xana scoffed.
Would it help if I set the gun down? You could return the favor and move your left hand from under the desk.
Is that really you then?
I'm putting it down, Captain.
Xana slowly lowered her heavy bolter. She winced as the gravitic propulsor machine spirits registered the rhythms of slumber and deactivated. The weapon banged against the floor. A flash of emotions cut across her face. Confusion, pain, amusement, rage. Karlov honored his part of the bargain. He revealed his left hand, gripped around the handle of a las pistol. He rested it down on the table. Xana tutted.
You're still holding it.
That was the agreement, Xana. You put down the heavy bolter and I move my left hand from under the desk. Xana laughed softly at that.
Fair enough.
Why are you here, Xana?
The crew aren't happy, Captain. No one's seen you. There's rumours you're dead.
Huh. I'm not.
So my eyes tell me. But things are getting bad out there, Captain. Some elements of the crew, well, things are getting bad.
They can't wait until we've left the warp.
Seems not. That's the warp, isn't it?
Karlov grunted in response. He allowed for a few moments of silence. I've been busy with the astronomical charts, but I'm across the briefings. I've still been issuing orders.
Did you really give orders to void half the ship, Captain? Because we assumed that was the warp. We disabled the Vox after that.
Karlov glowered. He fixed Xana in a hard stare, and then sighed. No, I didn't give orders to void half the ship.
Yeah, we thought that didn't sound like you.
You should have come and spoken to me. Been having fun playing captain, shipmaster. Xana scowled.
Of course not. But with respect, Captain, your absence wasn't a ship-wide fire or an airborne madness. I had to prioritise.
Karlov sighed. Fair enough. But it's gotten bad. Bad enough that you've made the time.
Candidly, Captain, we're about to lose the vessel.
Karlov clicked his tongue. All right. He reached for his Vox, then thought better of it. Instead, he stood. His body ached beneath the weight of his carapace. It was a patchwork of armor and repairs, dragging down his limbs and fixing his back in place. His left leg was a crude bionic from the knee down. It ended in a 3-clawed metal foot that dug into the carpet for balance. Xana nodded supportively.
What are you going to do?
Karlov wrinkled his nose. I'm going to order the navigator to bring us out of this. No more delays. No more excuses. We take our medicine.
You won't like it.
He'll do it. Or I'll bring us out of the warp myself. And we'll all be worse off for it.
Right you are, Captain. Your orders?
Karlov's gaze darkened. Carrot and stick. Where are the problem areas?
I'm most worried about gunnery. Sev isn't answering his Vox and, well, there are reports, sir.
Karlov closed his eyes. He nodded. Gather everyone around you can trust. Hit him hard. Make an example. When you're done, we'll leave the warp and reassess the crew's loyalties. Xana smiled thinly.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Karlov sat in the command throne of the bridge, lord of all he surveyed. Behind him, the corpse of gunnery master Sevaris hanged from a rope. The new gunnery mistress had made a great show of presenting the doomed man to her captain, face blanched with terror, even as her eyes glittered with ambition. She had brought the rest of the gunnery clans in line. Karlov just hoped she knew how to calculate a firing trajectory. The captain cast his gaze about the bridge. He watched them check and double-check readouts and dials. It brought a weary smile to his lips. When it came down to it, Navy or pirate, all voiders were the same, trusting their personal rituals and last-minute checks, hoping against hope that some element of their superstition would earn their emperor's favor. Karlov sighed. In truth, there was no preparing for the insanity of a blind materialization. He tapped his fingers on the armrest, silently ticking off the list of potential dooms. They could appear directly into a star, into a planet, an asteroid, a black hole. A Xenos armada. Space was big, that was true, and it was mostly empty, but the warp was ever spiteful. Xana stood beside him. She was covered in blood from head to foot. Idly, Karlov wondered whether that was a concern. Her lanky body was slick. Her heavy bolter's barrel was still charred with minor physaline burns. She glanced at Karlov.
Now or never, Captain.
Karlov shot Xana an irritated glance, but he nodded. Bring us out, shipmaster. Orders rippled from the command chair in concentric waves. Karlov's softly spoken command became Xana's roar, then echoed by a dozen officers and the confirmatory report of dozens more crew. The comms officers swallowed and then contacted the navigation chambers. A sinisterly robed acolyte bowed deep before an inhuman monster. In a scratching whisper, they rephrased their bridge command as a meek request. On the bridge, mechanical systems buzzed. Green lumens confirmed the consent of the Navis nobility. More orders were barked. The helmswoman, her bald head encased in a mesh crown of MIU implants, turned in her chair and nodded to her captain. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her mouth was replaced by a respirator implant. Karlov returned the nod. The helmswoman shuddered, eyes rolling back as her mind dove into the manifold. The ship lurched back into real space. The frigate trembled. Its walls shook to the strange echo of whispered prayers. Karlov grimaced. He felt a moment of excruciating pain, as if he was torn apart and put back together. Then he felt relief. A tension in his shoulder relaxed. The intrusive thoughts urging his murder-suicide fell silent. A new vigor infused him, as if he was 10 years younger. He listened. No emergency klaxons. No warning augurs. Karlov let out a soft sigh and smiled. He leaned back in his throne. The bridge shutters slowly opened to reveal their new surroundings. His smile faded into a frown. Then his eyes widened. He heard gasps from around the bridge. Xana hissed.
Throne of Terror.
Karlov stood. He stepped closer to the permaglass windows that separated his throne from the void. With one hand, he reached out to the darkness. He wore confusion and horror in a rictus mask upon his face. Where are they? Holy Emperor, where are they? Karlov sat at his office desk. He stared at the astronomical charts. He had been doing so for the last hour. He knew it was impossible. No amount of scholarly lore and careful numerology could possibly be of use. There was a knock at the door. Karlov glanced up, expecting to see Xana, and frowned at the face of Confessor Thale. The churchman was not a voider. His build reflected a planetary upbringing and good living, robes bunched against the folds of his gut. Karlov could see the man's searching, chestnut eyes, but little else of his face. The priest's expression was concealed, as ever, behind a blank, white mask. Captain? Thale's voice was soft and cultured. I thought it was best I visited with you. It has been some time since your last confession. Forgive me, Confessor. I've been very busy. Of course. Karlov managed a weak smile. Please, come in. Take a seat. Thank you, Captain. Drink. Why, yes, if you're having one. Karlov poured them both a glass of Amasek, passing no comment as the Confessor produced a thin metal straw from the folds of his robe. The captain closed his eyes to savor the first sip. He could feel Thale watching him, scrutinizing him. I'm sorry you've had to come to me, Confessor. I've been trying to find... Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry. Our passage through the warp was difficult. Yes, for everyone, I think. How was yours? We endured. By the Emperor's grace, the warp did not break us. Not all of us, at least. Thale paused. You seem in low spirits, Captain. And I understand there is an information embargo in place from the bridge. Are they connected? Karlov scowled. How do you know that? An information embargo only works if no one knows about it. The Master of Whisperers mentioned it in passing. Oh, of course. Karlov thought he heard a smile in Thale's voice. It is his currency, Captain. Sometimes he must spend a little to acquire more. But you needn't worry. I have been discreet. Karlov sighed in acceptance. He swirled the amasec in its glass. How's the crew? Your intervention was well timed. You saved many souls from damnation, Captain. I trust you're reinforcing my carrot and stick. Through my clergy, yes. We've been taking many penitent confessions from those who have wavered. Of course, we are sharing everything with the Master of Whisperers. However, with the greatest respect, Captain, I believe you're attempting to waylay me. What does the information embargo conceal? You may regret knowing the answer to that question. I am your confessor, Captain. To safeguard your soul, I must know. My own well-being is immaterial. Karlov took another drink. It was a big one. When we left the warp, we did so without the Astronomicon to guide us. Indeed, we have been sailing blind for weeks. We had hoped, I had hoped, that we'd be able to skirt along the edge of the halo stars. But it was not to be. We ventured beyond them, Confessor. The Astronomicon was dark. The navigator could not see his light. But the warp was tearing us apart. We had to leave. So, I gave the order. The Confessor nodded. Better to seize the moment than rely upon the work of mutants. Karlov diplomatically ignored the churchman's slander against the Navis nobility. As you've probably noticed, we did not transition into the heart of a sun, or into the maw of a Xenos battle fleet. That in itself is good. He winced. Unbidden, his mind conjured up what he had seen on the bridge. The endlessness of it, stretching out across eternity. Thale's mask shifted. Was the Confessor frowning? Grimacing? It was difficult to tell. Captain, what are you trying to tell me? Karlov swallowed. We did not transition into the heart of a sun. We're translated into nothing. He could see it now, the bleak, impossible infinity. His mouth was dry. His next words were barely a whisper. There are no stars. He swallowed again. There is nothing out there, Confessor. There is nothing. The frigate drifted directionless. How could it have a direction? There was nothing to sail to. Nothing to sail from. Karlov sat in the command throne. He stared out into the black void. Multi-directional auger sweeps had long confirmed the insanity of their situation, but it did not stop him ordering them again, every day or so, desperate for a different answer. He glanced across the bridge crew. Most of them gazed out into space. There was nothing to do. Nothing, other than occasionally check their dials and readouts and confirm that nothing had changed. Sana was elsewhere. The shipmaster was undertaking an impromptu audit of their supplies. A grim smile came to Karlov's face. They didn't have enough. Of course they didn't have enough. They were lost, and would be forever. He thought back to his conversation with Confessor Thale. It felt like months ago. In truth, it had only been a few days. The churchman had not understood. He had not understood the terror that gripped Karlov's heart. Nothing? Karlov had nodded. Nothing. Then we turn back. Redirect the prow towards the light of the Imperium. You don't understand, Confessor. There is nothing. There are no stars, there is no Imperium. That had finally brought some emotion out of Thale, his mask shifting to some hidden expression. Have a care, Captain. The Imperium is eternal. That is doctrinal. It's gone. Karlov had heard the hysteria in his voice, but he had not been able to help it. If the Imperium is eternal, then we have journeyed beyond eternity. The stars are dark. Each one of them has died. We are at the edge of time, the edge of existence. We are utterly, utterly alone. Captain, there is no light. The Emperor is gone. He has abandoned us. Or else, God is dead, and we are all that is left. The Confessor had drawn his hand flamer at that. The threat had made Karlov laugh maniacally. Thinking back, Karlov knew his bizarre reaction was the only reason that Thale had not killed him there and then. But the Confessor had not set him on fire. The churchman had paused. He had lowered his gun. And then he had left, without saying another word. Karlov's mind drifted back to the present. He wondered whether the Confessor was planning some manner of mutiny. Perhaps Thale thought that the captain had gone mad. Maybe Karlov had gone mad. Captain, the voice came from one of the Augur Masters, a skeletal, void-born clansman. His head was elongated by cranial augments. Captain. It was against protocol for a mid-ranking officer to address the captain directly in such a manner, but Karlov didn't care. He wearily gestured for the Augur Master to continue. Captain, I have a ping from one of our long-range probes. The man was almost breathless. We have contact. Karlov leaned forward, suddenly energized. How far? 74 units, sir. Analyze what the probe is telling us. Helmsman, set a course. Aye, aye, sir. Karlov felt a grin form across his face. It was infectious. Some of the bridge crew started crying, overwhelmed by their relief. The captain gave them a few moments and then straightened up in his throne. All two. Voxmaster, get me the shipmaster at once. Yes, sir.
This is Xana.
Xana, we have a ping. One of the long-range probes. Xana whoops down the line.
Praise the throne.
Do we still have a ship?
I'd say so, Captain. Wait, why? Who've you pissed off?
The Confessor.
Oh, damn it. Never a rainbow without a pissing shower. Don't worry, I'll pay him a visit.
Be gentle, Xana.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Karlov ended the call. He felt invigorated. They had a chance. The stars were dead and the light of the God Emperor was gone, but they had a chance. There was something nestled in nothing. His smile soured slightly. They had a chance. Karlov rechecked the void seals on his suit. He muttered a short prayer to the Omnissiah, pleading for protection from the vacuum of space. The machine spirit trilled a reassuring green in response. A planetoid. That is what the long-range Augur probe had found. A lifeless rock barely bigger than a small moon. If the situation had been any less bleak, it would have been less than nothing, not even a curiosity. But they were all beggars now. Beggars could not be choosers. Karlov noticed Xana's glaring. For the last time, Xana, I'm going. Xana scowled. but the words of her glowering was dulled by the thick plastic glass of her void suit.
It's stupid.
I'm going. It is what the captain needs, Thale agreed. As an olive branch, Karlov had extended his invitation, and the confessor had accepted at once. Whether Thale was curious, wanted to keep an eye on the captain, or simply desired real ground beneath his feet, Karlov didn't know.
I don't care about what the captain needs. I care about what the ship needs, and what it needs is continuity of command.
And I don't care what you think the ship needs, Xana. I'm going.
As you say, Captain.
The technomats conducted their final checks. They intoned binaric prayers in subsonic tones, waving sentences of supplication to the immortal machine, and then gestured their charges forth. The three officers wandered over to the shuttle. It was already full. Zan had organized half a platoon of her best naval ratings to accompany them. Each carried a vacuum-capable combat shotgun. Each wore an armored void suit. The shuttle emerged from the frigate bay and into the silence of space, floating down towards a colorless world beneath an empty sky. No one spoke much. Each man and woman settled into their own private rituals, superstitions ever endemic among the Voidborn clans. They flew closer. The visual feed in Karlov's helm painted a picture of ancient ruins. Grey, cratered walls perfectly preserved in the darkness. The captain frowned, squinting at the hazy shapes of static. What do you think, Xana?
I think what you're thinking, Captain. Those are Imperial ruins.
Captain, Shipmaster, surely this is wonderful news. If these ruins are Imperial, then we must be close to the Imperium's borders. The Cod Empress shows mercy. Karlov grunted in reluctant agreement. The stars are still missing.
I was thinking about that. Could it be a technological issue? Some bizarre space phenomenon?
No. You've seen it yourself. There is nothing out there.
It could still be a space phenomenon.
Perhaps something like an unearthly fog, Thale suggested. The fact that he knew nothing about the void didn't seem to curb his speculation. Something that confounds both the eyes of Mars and the eyes of his children. Karlov pursed his lips. Perhaps, but the Astronomicon remains dark. The light of the Astronomicon is distinct from the light of the Emperor, no matter what those mutants claim. The cursed navigators possess no monopoly on God. Faith shall guide us true, Captain.
Yeah.
Xana sounded amused.
Have faith, Captain.
The shuttle broke a non-existent atmosphere, gently descending onto a suitable outcrop of featureless rocks. They landed in the heart of the ruins, the remains of a city long destroyed by the devastation of an unknown war. Closer visual scans gave no indication of what had happened. They gestured only to the awesome power of unearthly weapons and the unmistakable crater marks of detonated bolts. Karlov frowned. No bodies.
Yeah, and these ruins are eroded. This world had an atmosphere, once.
A breathable one. No evidence of a void dome or any atmospheric shielding. Karlov shivered. This world had a star. Curse the enemy, profane the works of his Imperium. Aye, Confessor. The captain waited as Xana organized their military escort. Combat shotguns bristled outwards from their protective circle, shining stab lights into the blackness. Karlov took his place in the center beside Xana and Thale. One of the lumens in his void suit shone red, warning that the void held sway. They began to explore.
What are we looking for, exactly?
Karlov paused at Xana's question, her words scratching through the box. They had been moving for half an hour, picking their way over crumbled ruins, boots scrunching silently into broken ground. It was utterly dark. Their path was only lit by the noiseless hum of lumen globes and the slicing glare of stab lights. The layouts of buildings suggested a residential block, the expedition moving along the cracked asphalt of disused roadway.
I don't know, Xana. Something that will tell us where we are. Something that looks a bit more intact.
We're not exactly doing this systematically, Captain.
No, but we're getting the lay of the land. There are too many unanswered questions here, and I want to have a better sense of what we're dealing with before the grunt work starts.
Their private conversation was interrupted by the vox buzzing of a rating.
You might want to look at this, sir.
Karlov ventured closer. He frowned. The unmistakable, blocky shape of a Rhino APC was buried in the rubble and darkness, one of its tracks broken, the other entirely missing. The full extent of the damage was hidden beneath fallen masonry. It was colourless, any paint long stripped away by the atmosphere that had been. Thale shuffled over. His movements were laboured by the low gravity.
Praise be. This is an old machine, Captain.
Karlov gave him a sideway glance.
What do you mean?
He could hear the confessor's further in his reply.
This is a Mark 1C Demios pattern. Note the two pintle-mounted bolt guns buried beneath the rock.
Thale squished the fat fingers of his void suit together, making the sign of the Aquila best he could.
This is an Astartes machine, Captain. I'm certain of it.
Xana scuffed the desolate earth.
It seems the Astartes lost.
Have a care, shipmaster. The Astartes cannot fail in battle. That is doctrinal.
As you say, Confessor.
They might not have lost,
Karlov said.
but whatever they were fighting put up one hell of a fight. Confessor, can we rouse the machine spirit of this vehicle? That is a question for the priesthood of Mars, Captain. But it is said that the Demios pattern possessed a superior machine spirit, and the hull seems relatively intact. Perhaps its spirit merely slumbers and is not dead.
Karlov nodded.
Then this is what we were looking for. Set up a perimeter. Find a suitable spot for the shores to land, and inform the engineer that we need his assistance.
The captain watched as the engine seer worked, feeling a tension in his bones that he could not quite explain. Perhaps it was the engine seer himself. The man was a hunchback, swaddled within red robes within a void suit. His face was obscured behind misted plastic glass, but his bionic eyes gleamed green and blue, and the skin Karlov could see seemed white and nubile. It was like the skin of a newborn infant, or the glossy tissue of a burn survivor. The engine seer directed two heavy-set servitors. The metal of their servo arms frosted over in the sub-zero temperatures. The unprotected skin turned blue, and yet they made short work of the rubble, removing blocks of masonry from the rhino's carcass. Confessor Thale knelt nearby. He had been loudly chanting prayers, but the captain had silenced the vox link. The canticles of Saint Cognatius became repetitive over a while. One of the servitors dropped, killed by the cold. The other was close behind. Karlov shifted uncomfortably. These servitors were still flesh, no matter how mutilated. They still failed and died like anything else. But they completed their work. The Rhino APC was revealed in all its Baroque glory. Its locomotion was in shreds, but its hull was largely undamaged. The engine seer approached with a las cutter, beseeching the war machine for forgiveness before he cut into its flank.
What do you hope to find, Captain?
Anything. A record of this planet's name would be helpful, no matter how out of date. Stellar coordinates would be a godsend.
You no longer think the stars are dead, then?
The captain sighed.
All we can do is hope.
Or pray.
There's a tinge of irony in Xana's voice.
The Confessor has perked up, hasn't he?
I suppose. I don't know him very well.
Bit of an odd duck.
Faith is a balm to the hopeless, Xana. Sometimes you need an optimist around.
The engine seer finished carving his way inside the APC, clambering inside. Karlov sighed and cast his gaze to the empty sky. He shuddered at the blackness.
It's not that I don't believe.
Xana said, answering an unspoken question.
I just don't like to bother him too often. I ration out my begging, you know? Save them for special occasions.
Karlov chuckled dryly.
Is this not a special occasion?
Good point.
Eventually, the engine seer re-emerged, his head bowed in reverence. He approached the captain. Each of his movements was a strange, disjointed shuffle.
The lesson machine is ancient and has forgotten much. But it remembers the binary call of its children, the sacred warriors of the Adeptus Astartes that it carried within its belly.
The binary call, Engine Seer.
Affirmative. I have coordinates that can be cross-referenced with mapping data contained within the angelic machine spirits.
Xana tutted.
Oh good, another treasure hunt.
Karlov ignored his shipmaster's sarcasm.
Does the mapping data give this world a name?
Negative. But the binary call is close. More data may be available.
How close exactly?
The engine seer stared back at him, green and blue eyes shining through the foggy plastic glass of his helmet.
Not far, Captain. 1.3 kilometers.
Karlov rose.
Good. Let's not tarry.
They left the Rhino APC behind with the corpses of the two servitors, the lobotomized menials frosting over as their eyes bulged. As they walked, Karlov kept his own counsel. The unease in his stomach continued to grow. They passed the shelled-out bones of ruins, clambering through the silent screaming maws of long smashed windows. In the quiet vacuum, all Karlov could hear was his own breathing, and the soft thump of his quickened heart. The coordinates led them to an anonymous ruin. The ratings discovered a basement stairway, half buried beneath the rock. The captain watched as they cleared away the ruins. He stared at the shadowed stairway leading into the barren earth. The captain stepped forward as soon as the ratings had finished. He ignored Xana's complaints and was first to descend into the basement's depths. If they had not been upon a lifeless world of utter darkness, the stairway might have seemed sinister. As it was simply more of the same. The only difference was the press of the walls, tight enough that the edges of Karlov's void suit scraped along the surface. There was little distance to travel. Half a dozen steps led to a generously sized basement. Maybe it had been an AMSEC cellar once. It was impossible to say. Dust cascaded from the ceiling, warning of structural collapse, but Karlov ignored the danger. He had seen something in the darkness of the far corner, and could not tear his eyes away as he ventured closer.
Holy throne of terror.
He fell to his knees. The light of his glow globes illuminated the corpse of an angel of death. The Astartes sat slumped against the wall, a gaping chasm in his abdomen. What Karlov could see of his insides were desiccated remains. Karlov wondered how long the Space Marine had sat there, dead and forgotten. Overcoming his holy shock, Karlov reappraised the Marine's body. Its armor looked strangely dissimilar to the pixelates he had seen as a child. The helmet resembled that of an archaic knight from truly ancient times, vertical grills reaching up to a single, wide visor. The armor was overlapping plates of studded ceramite. An old pattern, perhaps. Karlov thought back to those childhood pixelates, trying to match the dead angel to their chapter. He found he could not. Its colors had long been scrubbed away. The right shoulder was concealed by dust and rubble, and, if the left shoulder had ever borne a marking, it had been destroyed when some tremendous force had inverted the plate and caved in the Space Marine's arm. Karlov shuffled forward, trembling as he wiped away the dust from the Astarte's right shoulder pad. He frowned at the 2 vertical lines etched into the armor.
2 lines. 2.
What does it mean?
The captain turned to Xana. It was hard to make out her expression in the darkness, but the shipmaster seemed on edge. Her arms cradled the diminished weight of her heavy bolter.
It denotes the number 2. Probably a squad or company marker.
His eyes flickered to Confessor Thale as he descended the stairs. The clergyman immediately rushed over. Karlov unmuted his vox.
Praise be. An angel.
Karlov opened a secret line to his shipmaster.
Have a bad feeling about this, Anna.
Yeah, me too, Captain. Wait.
Something moved in the Space Marine's armor. Karlov scrambled to his feet, heart beating wildly in his chest. The Astartes twitched. His limbs moved. The overlapping plates of his armor shifted. Xana leveled her heavy bolter.
Damn it! Stand aside, Confessor!
No! Do not shoot. It is a miracle.
The Angel of Death slowly, impossibly, rose to his feet. Karlov found himself rooted to the spot. He stared at the gaping wound in the Space Marine's abdomen. It healed before his eyes. The flesh seemed to writhe as it closed over. Thale flung out his arm and fell to his knees in exultation.
Angel, Son of God.
The Space Marine turned his head to appraise the Confessor.
Angel, Holy of Holies, Ave him.
Thale never finished his benediction. The Astartes snapped the clergyman's neck in one effortless twist of his hands. Karlov cried out. Xana opened fire. The heavy bolter blazed noiselessly in the darkness. Vacuum bolts shredded Thale's dead body and slammed into the Space Marine's armor, detonating their individual oxygen chambers. The Astartes reeled. For a terrible moment, Karlov saw the power armor held firm, but then it began to crack under the steady stream of fire. Fault lines zigzagged along the ceramite plating. It staggered. Xana cried out a wordless battle cry, emptying the entire belt feed into the Marine. 60 bolt rounds crashing into the Astartes' deadly, brutal force. The belt ran empty. The Marine lay slumped in the corner. Dust poured from cracks in the ceiling.
Are you alright, Captain?
Karlov blinked.
Yes. Is it dead?
I bloody hope so. Throne, am I going to hell for this?
Karlov didn't answer. He inched closer, slowly unclipping his las pistol from its holster. His eyes widened. The Marine's power armor was splintered and broken in a dozen places. There was no blood that he could see, just a black, sticky substance dribbling over the shards of ceramite. Something was moving in those wounds. Wriggling, shifting, worming things. He brought up his las pistol.
Reload your gun.
He shot at one of the wounds. The beam seared through the writhing tissue.
Xana, reload your gun.
The Space Marine shuddered. It flailed out with its arms as it tried to stand, slamming its fist into the wall. A long fissure travelled up to and along the ceiling.
Captain, we need to...
The ceiling caved inwards. Rock and masonry collapsed downwards, rupturing void seals and crushing bone. Acting Captain Julius Braille leant back into the command throne. He shifted uncomfortably. He was still not used to how it felt. "Are we ready?" he asked. He tried to inject his voice with authority. He had been a bridge officer for 3 decades, but this was a new magnitude of responsibility. He only hoped he was up to the challenge, no matter how short-lived his tenure might prove to be. "Yes, sir." "Shutters up." He watched as the viewing shutters closed, the bleak planetoid disappearing from sight. Julius swallowed. He tried not to think about his predecessor, still buried there on that nameless rock. He tapped his fingers on the armrest. Warp drives are engaged. The navigator is ready. Yes, sir. Okay. Julius swallowed again, trying to steady his breathing. Another leap into the darkness. Another leap into the hell beyond the Emperor's light, in desperate hope of something beyond the eternal blackness of absent stars. He muttered a prayer beneath his breath. The Emperor protects. Okay. Take us in.
Thank you for listening to this video from the Archive Tower. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the channel.